she'll probably confirm just what I've said. If you post that to TAB headquarters, post it to Miss Mearle Davies.
Yeah.
It's in the public relations office of the TAB, and she'll go into it for you, and seeing that cheque hasn't been passed, you haven't tendered it, they'd have no worries at all about reissuing another cheque for you, I wouldn't imagine.
And that's 2 Queens Road, Melbourne.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, okay, thanks very much.
Okay, Ron.
Bye.
It is indeed a stale cheque, is it? How old can a cheque be before it may not be presented?
Well, I don't know. I would think that the cheque would last for just about... I think there is a statutory time when it does elapse, Peter.
I thought it was 12 months when I went to school, Pete, but...
Is that the case?
I think.
Uh-huh.
Mate.
Any time I ever get a cheque, I put it in the bank so fast I never have time to worry about that.
I think 12 months was about the idea.
Is that the case?
Yeah. Well, I think it would be... There would be some period, I suppose, of...
A question for the people from the TAB. There's a sign up in the Melbourne TAB saying that there's no quadrella bets accepted on midweek racing or the dogs. All you can have on quadrellas is Saturday race meeting. And I'd just like to get Jackson Des's view on this, and why is that sign up? I think it's terrible, really, that the population of Melbourne something like 10,000, and a person can't just pop into the TAB on Wednesday, for example, and have a quadrella.
Well, you can't do it at Bendigo, can you, Jack?
Now, the simple answer to that is, Graham, is the fact that Melton is a manual agency, isn't it?
Yeah, right, yeah.
That's the answer.
That's the answer. Well, the TAB at the moment is progressing towards rim-firing all agencies throughout Victoria. Now, once this is installed, once the rim-fire or the new system, the CRISP system, is installed, you'll be able to take these quadrellas all over during the weekend on Saturday meetings, as you can now, of course, but you'll be able to take quadrellas everywhere. It's just a matter of being a little bit patient, Graham, because it's virtually impossible for them to handle the volume from a manual agencies throughout the state on midweek meetings.
It's impossible for the TAB to handle, not the actual TAB. I'm sure they could handle the volume of writing out the tickets and so on.
Oh, the TAB agencies could. It's the TAB headquarters.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
They've got to collate all the bets.
They've got to collate all the bets and so forth.
Yeah.
But you will find that the TAB is constantly looking at the population explosions in different cities and different towns, in different country cities and different country towns, and they're trying to install the rimfire system as quickly as possible because they realise they're losing turnover, which they want.
Yeah.
And it won't be very long before Melton, which is a very fast-growing and popular area, I know. I would say that Merle the Girl will tell you later on that Melton wouldn't be in the not too distant future will have a rimfire system.
Oh, that's terrific, Jack. You've answered me question perfectly.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.
654-3211, the...
Cast is a quinella, but you have to have the numbers in order. If you have a quinella, you can have any way. Like if it was 4 and 3, or 3 and 4, you could have asked for. Well, you ask for 3 and 4, but it doesn't matter who wins the race. But in a forecast, you've got to have the numbers as is. If number 1 wins the last race, you've got to have it first, and if number 4 runs second, you've got to have number 4 second. Like you've got to ask for 1 and 4.
Well, I took 10 with the field.
10 with the field?
Yeah.
Wow.
It got second.
10 got second?
Yeah.
No good. No good, because you wanted 10 to win.
Oh.
It must be in the order in which you take.
If you had the field with 10, that's probably all right. If you can take them, I don't know if you can take them.
Well, you can take
You've got to have 10 had to run second.
You have to punch out the ticket, but if you took number 10 and it ran second, it's a no payee. But if you had taken 10 and 10 had one and coupled with every other runner, you would have collected.
Oh.
Okay?
Prospect to Peter, please.
Yes, Mervyn?
Listen, what happened to Jackie Clenchey now? Cranbourne, you'll notice where the dogs, you're only allowed to bet on them till 7 o'clock, and you can bet on the trots till the TAB closes.
This is the first time they've held a tab on the Cranbourne meeting, isn't it?
This is the first one. This is one of our new 17 dates that we got for 12 months, and the trots got an extra 50, but the dogs were given 17. And, if you'll just let me go for about a minute, I could explain something to you about this, what is happening to the dog man. We've got one representative on the TAB to discuss anything. If he wants to move a motion, he can't get a second if it don't suit the race clubs or the trots.
Yeah.
We get 3 meetings a week. The trots get about 8. The racing clubs get about 12. And also, they got a new lurk now with the trots. Repeatedly lately, 3 times in the last 6 meetings, for some unknown reason, when the trots are about 5 minutes ahead of us for a race, they'll also seem to play up at the barrier, and we are missing the first leg of the double.
Yeah.
Now, there's something got to be done. There's a meeting at Olympic Park tomorrow night where there's something going to be brought up to get a general meeting call to do something about the way the TAB and the government are treated. Now, what does the panel think of this, please?
Well, I think that greyhound racing is the fastest booming sport in this state. This is Col, isn't it?
That's right.
Col. And it's been proven in New South Wales that the trots, the dog takings, the greyhound takings at Harold Park and Wentworth Park, I think they exceed the takings at Harold Park trots.
That's correct.
They take more on the dogs than they take on the trots. Now, when in its infancy, greyhound racing has grown very quickly from an infant stage over the last 10 years to become a very dominating factor in the world of sport in Victoria. And I think that during these years that the government officials and also TAB officials are becoming more cognizant of the fact that greyhound racing has a very big following. Now, after many strong approaches to the government, the TAB has finally gone to Cranbourne, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's one of our new. They've given us 17 new dates.
That's right. I've read this. Now, let's face it. I think they've been pretty fair to the greyhound racing people because they've got about 3 TAB meetings during the week. Now, you've got Olympic Park, you've got Geelong, you've got Sandown on Thursday night, and sometimes another TAB meeting.
This is the first meeting we've had 4.
This is the first Saturday night. This is the first Saturday night meeting at Cranbourne.
No, the first time we've had 4 TAB meetings in a week is this year.
That's right. Well, it shows that the powers that be are taking notice of the influence of greyhound racing in the state. And I think that you must crawl before you can walk. And let's face it, I think they're doing a pretty good job so far as greyhound racing is.
Do you think we're getting a fair slice of the cake against the country trots at Moa and Kerrang and places like that?
Well, they've been more strongly established over the years than greyhound racing. See, tin hair racing wasn't introduced in this state until the 50s. Well, you've had trotting here since the 40s, Cole.
That's right, but they haven't been racing all these little places in the country on a they were never heard of some of them towns where they're racing now that they've got TAB meetings. All I'm saying is I reckon we're entitled to a fair piece of the cake. We're providing millions for the government and the TAB.
I agree.
And we're not given a fair shake.
I wouldn't say not being given a fair shake because these smaller country towns which have trotting meetings, let's face it, they have great local patronage and so forth, and they're entitled to their slice of the take on the TAB.
I'm not saying they're not entitled, but I say the greyhound man is entitled to something better than what he's getting for the millions that that they're getting out of it, and on top of that, the people want it. Well, let's face it, Cole, at the Olympic Park and Sandown Park, they've got great plans for the future from the amount of money they're getting back from the TAB turnover. That's correct.
And I know that the Sandown track I haven't seen it, but I understand it's a wonderful track. And I know that they've built that complex down at Morwell, isn't it? Morwell or
Traralgon.
Traralgon, I should say.
Traralgon.
And the Traralgon eventually will get TAB meetings. And you'll find that in years to come, with the CRISP system to be introduced, that the greyhound people will get their commensurate share of the TAB take.
Well, what about the 7 o'clock shutdown tonight for the dogs?
Well, they've got this. They've scheduled. The rimfire system is scheduled to handle so much money, and let's face it, it's running at capacity now.
Well, they handled 6 race meetings this afternoon, and they can't handle a dog meeting and 2 trots.
Don't forget they've got a twilight meeting too at Mornington this evening, and that's going to further burden the rimfire system. And I think that they're pretty well heavily loaded today, and with the staff they've got, probably you'll find that they're at capacity, and that's the reason they're finishing at 7 o'clock.
And anyway, Cole, Mearle the Girl from the TAB will have more to say to you on that matter when she joins us a little later on this morning. But thank you for your call today on Sports Call. It's 11:31. It's time for a female forum with a lady who's been already dubbed by Jack Hailing and will now be known henceforth as Merle the Girl. Mearle Davies, it is, the Public Relations Administrator from the TAB. And to you, Mearle, we say, Happy birthday to her.
Oh, dear.
How about that?
How about that?
Many
What
happy
did you
returns,
do
Mel.
to me?
See, we're making you feel at home. You don't want to be nervous. You're not nervous, are you, Mel?
Oh, and I'm not nervous.
No, I'm not very nervous.
Well,
Anyway, good morning, Peter, Des, and Jack.
Good morning, Merle. And I
Morning.
suppose today, being your birthday and your first time on 3UZ, will be a memorable day for you.
Oh, yes, you can say that again.
I bet I'll put up a quickie to you, Merle. How old are you?
Oh, please, don't.
Well, that's
Jack,
not a
I'll tell you one
TAB.
thing.
That's not a TAB question.
No, that's not.
That's under the belt. Well, now, what have we got for?
Merle, I rang the TAB this week to speak to Max Williams. And I was talking to the girl on the switch there, one of the lasses on the switch, and I mentioned the fact that last week when I heard that you were coming on the show and we said that Merle the Girl, she said, well, strangely enough, she said, your lass said to me, she said, we've called her Merle the Girl down here for a couple of years. Is that right?
Yes, I think it's, pretty common, isn't it?
Well, we have a girl at our office, Pearl Allen, who's secretary to the editor, Mark Day, and she is known in the office. I dubbed her that many years ago, Pearl the Girl.
Oh, yes.
So we got Pearl the Girl at Truth and we got Merle the Girl at the tab.
Oh, yes.
Right, now how about the questions this
Well,
morning?
our first query came from Peter, who unfortunately burnt a winning rimfire ticket purchased at our North Fitzroy agency. Now, Jack answered this question correctly. Insofar as lost or destroyed tickets are concerned, the board does not accept lost ticket claims. All details printed on the tickets must be keyed into the computer before the dividend can be paid. This ruling was clearly laid down when the rimfire system was introduced, and one of the main reasons for this ruling is because duplicate copies of tickets are not retained in the agency. I'm very sorry that we're unable to help Peter with this. It's very unfortunate.
Yes, it is bad luck. Well,
Yes.
I think we told him that, Merle. We told him that, even though it was an intervening ticket between two tickets, the fact is it had to go into the rimfire system.
Yes, that's right.
All right.
Well, the second question came from Ron, who has an old cheque issued from TAB. Now, if Ron will please send this old cheque in to me at 2 Queens Road, I'll be happy to arrange for a new cheque to be posted out to him.
Yeah, what is the life of those checks, do you know?
Well, it's 6 months. He can go into any agency and the agent will fix it up for him if the time limit is 6 months. But after that time, he does have to write into head office.
I see.
It's a little bit more involved after that time.
Yes.
Now, we had a query from Graham. He was unable to take a quadrella during the week from a Melton agency. Now, Max has spoken about this problem many times, as you know, and the question was correctly answered by Jack and Des. Melton is a manual agency, and it is difficult to process quadrella tickets manually. Unfortunately, Melton agency will not be converted to rimfire in the immediate future because of the unavailability of PNG lines. But as Jack said before, the board is introducing the new CRISP system, which will be capable of providing this service.
Yeah. What else have we got?
Our last question will be very interesting because this came from Colin, who wanted to know why the TAB were closing betting at 7 p.m. on the Cranbourne Dog meeting tonight, when they're opening for other betting until 8 o'clock. Well, the TAB are not closing betting at 7 o'clock,
Oh,
and
good
we
girl.
are staying open till 8 o'clock, bearing in mind, of course, that the win and place betting at manual agencies closes 30 minutes before the advertised starting time of the race and 15 minutes in rimfire and Melbourne telephone betting.
Yes. And also, Merle, you might tell me this. If you have a TAB telephone account, will you be able to bet on the Cranbourne Dogs right up in the last race?
Yes, up till 15 minutes before.
Well,
they usually close betting about 10:30.
Yes.
Colin was apparently misinformed that the TAB were closing at 7 o'clock, and
Yeah.
I don't know where he got his information from, but
The
it's
Sun Guide, I
definitely
think,
incorrect.
Merle.
Oh, was it?
I
didn't
believe
know
so.
that.
But apparently it is incorrect.
Yes, it's definitely incorrect.
Good.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you were able to set the record straight.
Yes, because as a matter of fact, Cole seemed quite incensed
Yes.
about this, and
Yes.
according to the Sun Guide this morning, it says fields in TAB and starting box orders, figures it right at column, etc., etc. Times up with closing time 7 p.m. Every dog race closes at 7 p.m. here.
Yes, well, we normally do this midweek, and perhaps there's been a little bit confusion because of this, but
I see.
I can't answer that question for you.
No, I
because
understand.
it is 8 o'clock.
Oh, well,
tonight.
this is just a human error in the
Yes,
sun this morning. But
sounds like it.
the fact is that it closes at 8, and I'm very, very glad that you clarified that position, Merle.
And you can get the phone betting up until a quarter of an hour before the last on Cranbourne.
That's right.
Well, the last race at Cranbourne Mill's at 10:35, so punters who wish to bet on the Cranbourne meeting can get on until 10:20.
That's right.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Well, you handled all those with beautiful aplomb.
Oh, good.
Thank you, Mearle,
much.
very much for joining us, and sorry you have to work on your birthday.
Oh, that's all right.
But we look forward to your company again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling.
Goodbye.
Cheer out, Merle.
Cheer out, Merle.
It's 15 and a half to 12 at 3UZ, Ansett Airlines of Australia time. Ansett Airlines holiday baganzas give you...